Hello, hello, hello. It's Sandra from Conversion Minded, and today I've got 7 awesome tips to help you build your email list. Now, if you're new here, I want to let you know about an epic list building challenge that I'm running. It's going to walk you through 5 days of implementing the steps I'm covering here and in this whole list building series. That starts August 6th, next Monday. It's 5 days, totally free, and it's going to be a game changer for you to start getting those subscribers that you need. So make sure you sign up for that so you can get in on it. Now, before I get into these 7 tips I have for you, I want to let you know that this is kind of taking off from the last video that I did where we talked about why nobody's opting in for your freebies and what you can do about it and what you can do to make them high converting. So make sure you check that video out if you haven't already seen that. Okay, so tip number 1 for list building is to eliminate, get rid of, no more of vague or generic opt-ins. I still keep seeing people with pop-ups when they say, I'm not building my list, and then I take a look at their website and they have pop-ups that say, sign up for updates, or sign up for an awesome freebie, or sign up for my newsletter. And the problem is that people aren't just going to stop and do what you want to do because you're not giving them enough information. You want to think about your opt-in titles as being something that's going to make people stop dead in their tracks, swerve over to grab that freebie and sign up for it. And when you give people a vague opt-in like that, vague title, all they're going to do is click, check on the X to get it off their page so that they can continue to read the content that they want to read, simply because you're not really telling them why. You need to focus on the outcome that people can expect. And I always like to talk about titles of everything from freebies to blog titles to email subject lines as mini value propositions. And with a value proposition, what you have to do is you have to tell people the who, the what, and the why. Who it's for, what it's about, and why should they opt in? Why are they going to click on it? What's the transformation that's going to happen? What can they expect after they click on your upgrade or they click on your freebie and they actually implement what you've got for them? So I want you to, go ahead and take a look at your opt-ins. If you've got anything that's generic, make sure that you change it over to be super specific, targeted to one person, targeted to one specific problem, and offering one specific solution. Now, if you're not, let's say, a coach or a consultant and you don't have, this knowledge in terms of content that you're giving people, and it's not, focused on solving a problem specifically, then don't worry about that. If you're a fashion designer or an e-commerce retailer, anything like that, you can still do this. You just have to focus on the want or the desire of your target audience. Like, what are they trying to feel like, live like, do? What is the lifestyle behind all of this? You just have to still focus on an outcome. It's just going to be an outcome in desire, right? In what they want to do or want to be like or want to feel like. So make sure that you do that. Number 2 is, along the same lines, you want to watch the timing of your pop-ups, and you want to make sure that you don't have pop-ups that happen when people land on your site immediately. Because all they're going to do is, again, click the X, get off of it, because they really came here to read your post or your page. They came here either from social media or they typed something in Google and they landed on your website, and you're obscuring the experience when you do that. You're making them have to do something just to get rid of that so that they can continue reading what they came to your site to do. And that's very interruptive. And it's okay to have an interruptive pop-up, but you want to watch the timing of that so that you pull people into your content a little bit. You welcome them in a little bit more. Let them read your page. Maybe then 60 or 70% down the page, have that same pop-up come up. Make sure it's very specific. It's focused on an outcome, no generic opt-ins. But when you do it like that, people are going to be much more likely to opt in to whatever you're offering them. Same thing with exit intent pop-ups. You can do the same thing. So when people go to click away and go to another website, you can have your pop-up come up and say, hey, before you leave, grab X, Y, and Z. So the timing is super important. And I think sometimes that we forget that Big brands who have a lot of content, who have been out there in the market for a long time and have all this brand awareness, products that people know about, they can get away with pop-ups that happen on page load. And they might even be able to get away with pop-ups that say, sign up for our updates, because people know what to expect from them. With smaller brands, and you're just getting visible, you're just getting out there, you're driving traffic and everything, people don't know about you the same way yet. So when people land on your site, you want to let them get to know, like, and trust you before you have these pop-ups appear. So keep that in mind. Keep it in mind that the timing of your pop-ups is super important. And when you combine a pop-up that happens maybe 60 or 70% of the way once after people are engaged and really liking what you're offering already on your blog or your website, and you combine that with a really specific title that helps people see what they're going to get. And by specific title, I mean something like, rather than saying sign up for our herbal recipes, you want to include what I like to call the better half of that, which is the value proposition behind it, and say something like, grab our herbal recipes to help cure the common cold in 5 minutes or less. You can see that that's going to make somebody much more inclined to click, because you're telling them it's going to be easy. You're telling them exactly what to expect once they download this, and therefore their questions are fewer and fewer. There are fewer questions about what these herbal recipes are going to be about. So think about it along those lines. When you combine these two, step 1 and step 2, really, really going to be powerful for you in terms of getting more subscribers. Okay, tip number 3 is to make your freebie very relevant to your page or your post. This is where we start to talk about having more than one freebie, because when you talk about making it relevant, obviously not every single freebie is going to be relevant to every single page or post. So you have to start to create more freebies. And I know that I've had questions about how to know what other types of freebies to come up with. You might be like scratching your head thinking, okay, I created 1 or 2 and I'm really at a loss with what else to create. And I've got some tips for you to help you do that. They're coming up a little bit, but right now I just want to focus on this concept of relevance. And that leads us to the conversation about content upgrades. Content upgrades are exactly what it sounds like. I know this used to completely confuse me when I first started blogging. I was like, what is a content upgrade? Is it the same as a freebie? Why are you calling it a content upgrade? And the answer is, if you're curious, a content upgrade is a freebie. It is a freebie that is placed within a blog post. So that means that as someone reads your blog post, you have some kind of graphic or text-based link that people can click on to grab your freebie. And what makes it an upgrade is that it is relevant to your post and it helps people take the next step. So you're upgrading that content. You're like giving them a little bonus there that where they can actually use, like, say, a checklist or a cheat sheet or a blueprint or a worksheet to help them implement your blog post and to help them take the next step. And people are much more inclined to actually opt in to content upgrades when you have them positioned like this. I've built my list primarily based on content upgrades in conjunction with driving traffic to my website, and that has just been, really, really an amazing way for me to build my list rather than pop-ups. I do have a pop-up on my website, but again, it's an exit intent. I do not interrupt people's experience with it until they're ready to leave the site. So, think about it that way. And those content upgrades are super important because of the relevance. Because when somebody is already engaged with your content and you're going to help them implement something or do something from that blog post, it is a complete game changer in terms of compelling them to sign up. So keep that in mind. Okay, number 4 is related to number 3. Because when you create your content upgrades, even your freebies, I want you to really think about making it visual. And I talked about this last time, making them unmissable. What I want to focus on this time is making sure that you show a graphic image of what it is people are going to be getting from you. So whatever it is that you have for them, if it's a discounted, product, or if it's an actual, free product, or if it's a freebie, free piece of content, make sure that they see what it is. And the reason is because you have to think of people opting into your list as a transaction. It's an exchange. And no, it's not a monetary exchange, but they are taking a commitment. They're making a commitment to you, and they're saying, okay, I will let you pop into my email. I know that you're going to be sending me stuff, and I agree to that because I really want whatever it is that you have. And the way that you need to kind of seal the deal on that exchange is to treat it like a product. And when you would show people products, you would not ask somebody to buy a dress or buy a piece of artwork without them seeing it. So you have to let people see it. So don't just offer text-based opt-ins. And I see pop-ups that happen and they're just kind of text-based. And, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I want you to start to experiment with really showing people graphically what it is that they're getting, because that way you can start to really close the gap in terms of their objections and their questions about what they're getting. So now we are being very specific with the title. We're being very specific with what this freebie actually is. We are timing it right so that it's in content, or it's as an exit intent, or when people scroll through a certain amount of your page or your post. And we're also showing people visually what you're going to get. And this just starts to eliminate any questions and make it super easy for them to go ahead and give you their email address. Now, I'm talking about something as simple as taking your PDF, your first 2 pages or so, and just showing them in an opt-in graphic with some really compelling call to action copy and your title, a download button, something like that. The other thing that I want to mention here is that I still see people adding content upgrades to their blog post, but they're so teeny tiny that they almost look like an ad, or it almost looks like you don't really want people to see it, right? You're kind of ambivalent about it. And what happens then is that people do just kind of breeze over it. Yes, they see it in their content, but they're not going to stop and swerve over and make sure that they opt into it, because simply when it looks like an ad, you know what happens. We all get ad fatigue and we just kind of keep scrolling and go past it to the stuff that we want. And when it's really tiny, it doesn't jump out enough. So I want you to think about making them full width. I usually use 800 by 350 pixels, which is pretty substantial. It's the full width of my content, so people cannot miss it. So that's the other thing to do in terms of making them visual. Use an image of what they're going to get. Make it really bold and big so that they can't miss it. Okay, number 5 is to really maximize the real estate of your website. I see a lot of people still doing static images for their feature area up top, right underneath their header, right underneath your navigation. You're still just using a static image, and there's really nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're not maximizing the potential. You're not being strategic about how you're using the space on your website. So you can keep that same background, just make sure you add some call to action text, something that people can opt in for, and a button that they can click on and then get the pop-up window. And what happens is when you start doing this, when you use it as your feature image, when you use an opt-in as your feature image, what happens is that you're no longer interrupting people when they land on your site. You're not giving them a pop-up right away that obscures anything that they want to read, but you're just using the space that you have on your website more strategically. You're adding your opt-in, your freebie right up there, and then people can click to get the freebie to opt into it. And you want to use that as much as you can on every single page. Now, what I like to do for that section is to focus on a really, really strong freebie that you want to give people, right? This should be your main freebie, call to action, opt-in, whatever you want to call it. And so you can think about doing a starter pack, a starter kit, a welcome kit, a resource library, something along the lines that really maybe makes people feel like they're getting started with you, right? Think about that in terms of using that space. And again, your footer, your sidebar. I recommend to add it to your about page. Add something to your about page that people can opt into, because people are checking out your about page. They want to find out more about you. And that is another place that you can add something that people can subscribe to. So I want you to think about it like that. Okay, number 6 and number 7 are what to do when you're kind of running out of ideas for your freebies and you're not really sure what else to create. You might feel like you're kind of hit a wall. You created 1 or 2 freebies. You're not sure what else to do. So these are going to help you out with that. Number 6 is to look at the topics that you blog about and start to categorize them in buckets or themes. For instance, I blog about social media, I blog about business, and I blog about blogging. And those are basically my main buckets. And I make sure that I have a freebie related to each of those blogging buckets. So you can do the same thing. You can just take a look at some of the topics that are your audience is most interested, the overarching topics or themes, and then make sure that you have a freebie that you can use as a content upgrade every time you write a blog post related to that theme. And that way you will be just maximizing how many times people can opt in, because on every blog post they'll start seeing something to opt into. When you combine that with what we talked about last time, which was adding your content upgrade in multiple places in your blog post, that is really going to be a game changer. So think about doing that, and you can even go back and add these content upgrades that you just created for your themes. You can go and add them to some older blog posts so that you're covered there, so that anytime somebody visits those older posts even, they have the ability to opt in. So that is number 6. And then number 7 is a way for you to leverage your already popular blog posts. So you can go into Google Analytics, you can check out your most popular posts or pages. You'll see it right there under the behavior section. I think it's site content landing pages. So you can go there, you can see your top 5 or 10 blog posts or pages. And what I recommend doing is taking your top 5, writing them down, maybe put them on a spreadsheet, and then pick one of those to start and create a content upgrade related to that blog post. Because you already know that this is resonating with your audience, it's already driving traffic, so it makes sense for you to leverage that, for you to extend on that and create a freebie out of that. And maybe that freebie you can not only add to that blog post, but you can add to related blog posts, and you can add to your feature section, whatever it is, wherever you want to place it. But you start to maximize the use of some of these blog posts that are already driving traffic. You're really leveraging what's already popular to get even more traffic, get even more subscribers. The other thing that you can do with that is, once you see these blog posts that people are really gravitating to, you can create more blog posts related to the similar topics, expand on that with a series, and then you can take that and turn that into a freebie that you can add to your blog posts that are related. So all we're doing here is we're starting to see what people want, and that's helping you brainstorm what else to create that they would like. And not only that, the beauty here is that when you start to get these insights, when you have some traffic and you see what people are really, really resonating with, then you can also start to think about products that you would have related to the blog post, related to the freebie, and then leading people to your product. So I like to think about blog posts as your free content and the free resources as kind of bridging the gap, your free offer, your freebie, bridging the gap between your blog posts and leading people to a purchase, right, to your paid content or your paid products. So always be thinking along these lines, be thinking about how they're connected and how you can not only create a freebie out of that blog post, those popular posts, but also how you can lead it to a product. And it's a good idea to make sure that you add a content upgrade to at least your 5 top blog posts, even beyond the one that you're picking to extend upon with a content upgrade. You want to make sure that you, at the very least, you have content upgrades on your top 5 posts. And that will help you substantially with your getting subscribers. If you combine all these together, it's really creating a very strong foundation for list building. And what I'm going to cover next time are some tactics to get out there, get traffic, get super visible, because now that you have the foundation, you're going to be able to really, really get subscribers as you funnel people into your site. So that's what we're going to cover next time. Again, make sure you're in on that list building challenge. It is going to be epic. I don't want you to miss it. We're going to walk through how to create this foundation, how to start getting out there, and how to get those subscribers very strategically, very cohesively, and I don't want you to miss that. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me know that you want this type of content. Give me some feedback. Let me know what else you want to know about. I'm all about helping you build an online business, get to the next level. So I'm more than happy to create more videos to help you do that. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps me, keeps me going, helps me continue to create videos for you guys. So I could use your support. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time.